This is for the book lovers. I'm Nabwire.
I'm Marcella, and welcome back to Bookish Banter.
So today we'll be discussing Joan Tatia's Confessions of Nairobi Women, Part 1. Yeah, it's a heavy book, a really well-written book about true stories that Nairobi women have undergone through the course of their lives, things that just shifted their whole dynamic of thought and their perspective. And we'll be diving deep into that. So it's really heavy. And allow us to take a shot before we get into it. So here we go. Yeah, so welcome. We'll just kick things off by me asking Marcella, like for you, what story shocked you or just.
Yeah, so for me,
Mhm.
the one chapter that, you know, came to me like seriously was this chapter 13. I come to you woman to woman, which is a phrase that most women in Nairobi have used so many times, especially when you're dating someone and you do know they're with someone else. However, for this particular story, um, this guy is married to an older lady. So when she meets this new babe, she actually says, "You should be ashamed of yourself for sleeping with a man of your father's age." But then she doesn't really know what this baby is going through. She doesn't know why am I choosing to go with a man who's older, right? She has no choices, right? And then as the story ends, she says, "You speak like a woman who has always had choices. Why? Because the man already provided. She's living the best life. She has her kids. Like she can't understand where is this other babe coming from, right?" And I feel like maybe we should give these people more empathy. Okay, maybe it's not the right thing, like you dating my man, but maybe like sit down and talk to this woman. Or it can't be you're the one who's judging her and making her feel, oh my god, you're such a bad woman, bad choices, judging me, right? Maybe she would have given this mama like a chance to explain why are you with my man.
I
What
don't
do you
think
think?
I don't think empathy is the word to use. For me, I'd say that it's wrong to assume that your path is the path of everybody else. Just thinking that if you were to get a sponsor, you're doing it for the spoils. Somebody else is doing it from a place of desperation
For sure.
because they don't have
Yeah,
another
they
way
don't
to
have any other
survive. Yeah,
option.
because for her, she was like desperate for a job, and how like
Even
context
the
of like
guy
the
was
story.
offering
Yeah,
the job, and this was the only way.
yeah, basically this guy gave her a job and he sort of gave her an ultimatum.
Mhm.
It's either you get this job and get me
Yeah.
or you stay jobless.
I
So for
think
her,
and
she
in
didn't
this
have
day
a
and
choice.
age,
Yeah. So her
she can do
phrasing
anything.
to like the older mama was like, listen, you won't understand my story.
Yeah.
And like I also might never understand yours.
Mhm.
But for you to come here and tell me just stop or you're just doing it because she was like, you're sleeping with somebody who's your dad's age.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing it because I want to. And also for the babe,
She
I feel
probably
like
didn't even like
yeah.
doing it, you know.
She okay, at the end of the
And of
day,
course,
she learned
however, like
it.
when it's beginning, you're not
Yeah,
necessarily
she didn't do
saying,
it.
I want to go and destroy this person's
Yeah,
family or
from
what.
I'll say she didn't do it from having several options.
Yeah.
She came from a place of desperation.
Mhm.
She's also like accepted that she can be replaced at any time.
Yeah.
I'd say as a woman, at least she's not just going for the spoils of life. She's investing and trying to. If this man woke up and said,
Improve her
"You know
life.
what? I'll leave you," she can stand on her own 2 feet. But at the same time, she also knows she cannot she can never compare herself to this woman,
Yeah.
this wife.
Mhm.
And this wife will never understand where she's coming from because her she's just looking at it as this young thing
Yeah.
who's coming to take what me and my husband worked hard to build. And why are you
And
here?
also, I have a problem because just to conclude that particular segment is yes, this is your man. Can you just approach the man, right? Like ask the man. He's the one who made the vows. He's the one who I'm here with you as my guy. So why are you approaching the other woman?
Yeah, I agree. That's a big
Yeah.
thing because most times the woman will hate the other woman, but always forgive and take the man back.
Yeah. Forgetting
Yeah,
how the
and like
circumstances were aligned.
exactly.
Right?
And I feel like for the married person,
Mhm.
whether man or woman, you're the married one. You're the one
You're the one
supposed to
who's
be like,
making the
no,
decision.
no,
No,
no.
me, I don't want to
Mniache,
because I
I am
have
a
a
married
vow.
man. I'm a married
Yes.
woman. But now you're the one who should be blamed. This other person, because sometimes you don't even know, just the way you said, you don't even know this man is married. It's a shock to you, like, oh, oops, I didn't know, because he wasn't acting married in the streets. And married men sometimes, they're the ones who,
like they're
are living their bachelor life the most.
I mean,
they're like out here, we were forced. Like, why you?
I don't even love my wife.
Yeah, it's like,
and
yeah,
they're
just
not
two
forced.
friends.
They're not forced to say.
And it's just things that they say, and they know they're lying for no reason, unprovoked. Like, nobody even asked you.
I think let's make these people be accountable. Be accountable for the decision you made.
And also you should be accountable to the person that you're married to, not the person who's doing it with them. And this because
coming to woman to woman is not being normalized as, yes, the woman is the one who's, why are you dating a married man?
Okay, sometimes it's the woman who did target.
However,
alimona na akamark.
Hata wewe, you are a lady, for example, married. How many men are coming to you? You can't say no.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, people need to learn how to say no. That's the whole thing. Yeah, and also, like, stop blaming the other. Blame your spouse, whoever you're married to, because they're the ones
who made the
who made the vow to you. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I agree.
So what about yours?
For me, it was chapter I have notes, you guys. Wow. Serious reader.
I mean,
so for me, it was chapter number 8. So something that stood out for me. Let me just read it when I can find it. So basically, as I'm looking for it, to give a synopsis, it's a babe who she's about to get married, but she's not accustomed to having one person at a time. Like, monogamy for her is not a thing, especially coming from a babe's perspective, because most times you'll hear it with men where they'll say, polygamy is not for African men, monogamy is just not for us. It's in the bloodline. So for her, she's a woman who is not used to having one man.
One guy.
She always needs to have another one. And at this particular point, it's that she's getting married, but she also has, like, her side who she wants to go see.
Always. It has always been, there's someone else always.
Yeah. And I think what stood out for me is, you'd think like she was just doing it for spoils, because maybe she was, but to some extent,
it started with trauma, right?
Yes, it did start with trauma, because her first, the person who took her virginity was her father, and it was basically rape.
Yeah,
because she was young, he just got into her bed.
So for her, it doesn't mean anything. Like, okay, it could mean
something. She enjoys it. Yeah. She likes it. That's why she does it. But how she was introduced is from a place of childhood trauma, because by then she was so young to understand what this is a grown adult man. As a father, you're the one who's supposed to protect your child and be like, if you hear a house help or some random person touched your kid, you go there protective, like Ninani, point nioneshe, such. But this father took advantage of the daughter and slept with her. And she was just there confused in a daze. What is happening? What was that? Why?
Do you think like, just thinking about it, do you think she may have, growing up, she may be wanting to look for the same probably feeling? Is that what she's probably looking for?
No, because she did not enjoy it.
So what exactly makes her drawn to many people? What is she looking for exactly? What do you think she was looking for being with so many guys?
I think it's just maybe coming from a place of avoidance, because this is something that was basically stolen from her. Her virginity being taken wasn't how somebody would want it to be. Yeah. Where you picked somebody, you felt you loved this person. Yeah. Hers was, she was woken up from sleep by her dad, and you're thinking maybe unaambiwa jifunike. No, he's just doing things. What are these? She's so young. She's just it's so confusing. You grew up with so many questions. What was that about? And then he was drunk. For you to sort of wake up in the morning and act like this never happened. But for me to stay with this thing, it just changes the course of my life forever. So now I think just that wanting, not being able, because now she's like, I always just want all the time. Yeah. So it's like, is it that she's insatiable, or what is the case?
Yeah, what's happening?
Yeah, but nobody knows except for her. But now for her, how she deals with it is that she has to have someone else. And she has a good man. She said, this is a good man that I
Yeah.
have and I'm marrying and I love him. And she's
mean,
done the thing before where she had a good man and she happened to tell him, Cheeky, I mean, you're great, but so is
but
John.
yeah.
So can I have you and John? And then both of them were like, I know. So now she said, going into this marriage, just
She
be a
won't say,
secret.
she
Yeah.
won't say what's going on.
Yeah. So it's like maybe a lot of sexual wounds and like just things that you need to face head on.
Inner healing, I think.
But she's not, because at the end she's like, the dad is about to get married. And
I mean, the same dad is gonna walk her down the aisle. I mean, I don't think.
oh
I
sorry,
mean, how
she's
would you
about to get married.
feel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because now also I don't think in his drunk stupor they've ever like talked about it. So
They
it's just
haven't,
something that's
probably.
just
It just happened,
floating in the
probably.
air. And then in his drunk stupor, maybe he doesn't even remember. So now you see it stuck with her, and him is just living his best.
Yeah.
He has a new wife,
Mm.
she's getting married, so it's just
Yeah. Whoa, that's a lot.
yeah, so it was just like shocking of what? Okay. The man who is supposed to protect you the most is the one who took something so sacred from you. So yeah, so that really stuck with me. Yeah. So something else I'd ask is like phrases in this book that just hit hard.
Well, I mean, let me see. I've already like read one. That one for the babe. That one was the one actually. But I can always look for another one. Let me see. Let me see. There was this one. There was this one, guys. Way. So should I say the story first? So the title is Watching from the Sidelines. And this is a babe who married a very awesome dude. But the dude now entered into like politics, right? And I think so within the story, she says power probably changed the dude. However, so he got the money and he could access everything and anything. Yeah. But the dude now, like later, she finds out that he's not cheating on her with like a babe. Kumbe the dude now is like getting out of the closet. Yes, we are assuming he's getting out of the closet. But she found out that the dude is, doing other dudes, which by the way, kwa raha zenu. And the phrase that like was what's the word? The phrase that was shocking. I was almost saying wow. The phrase that was shocking was, I married an inexperienced man who has spent the whole of our marriage experimenting and finding himself. And this, why I highlighted this particular phrase was, we probably get into relationships without necessarily having learned who we are. We don't know like our icks, we don't know our pet peeves, we don't know what ticks us, we don't know what excites us and shit like that. So when you get into a relationship with someone long term, then you're exposed to some level of freedom, of access, of resources, of people, of experiences. Then now you realize, oh my God, I probably like going to the flower garden more often. I probably like drinking whiskey. I probably like boys. I probably like girls, you see? But I feel like we need to, what's the word? Before you get into a relationship, can you just self-love, self-care, go find yourself?
I
In
don't
fact,
think
do the
so.
solo travels.
In the
Do
relationship,
that.
I feel like change is inevitable.
Changes in. I don't refuse
You can
that.
get into a
However,
relationship while knowing yourself. I think for in this particular story for her, it's that he was in his experimental bag when she thought this is something that we can
and
do
that's what I'm
together.
saying. Oh,
Yeah,
like she also wanted to be part of the change.
yeah, I mean,
dynamics.
if we're in this partnership, we're married,
Yeah.
it's okay that you've gone through the politics. We've come from maybe like they were middle class or like a bit low. Now we're making good money and everything. That's great. But like out of these experiments, because one thing that she said is she feels like she's stagnated while he's in this place where he's just experimenting.
Yeah.
Now he's with men. It could be like he's low key gay, or he's
Or he's
like,
just
yeah, he
trying
has free
things.
time in his hands and he's like, maybe let me try this, let me see where this
But
goes.
communication,
Yeah.
that's what the relationship is about.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I think maybe it's a bit appreciated if you include me in your experimenting, as opposed to me seeing you like flourish
Also,
and
I
do all
feel
these things.
I feel for this particular story, she did not give him your like space be to allow him to be experimental. Why? She had put him on a pedestal, on a like she was treating him in some kind of God way. Probably he felt like maybe I'm gonna, I don't know, like I'm just thinking, probably that's what he was thinking. He was thinking maybe nitamwangusha if I told her probably like I'm trying out new stuff or I want to try out these things.
I don't think so. I think she was, if anything, an extremely supportive wife to the point where
Exactly,
she
she was
forgot
very
herself.
obsessed.
She wasn't
Let's see.
obsessed. I think it's just that.
Quote.
Mhm.
I have a quote here. Um, wait, where is it? Okay, just proceed. I'm fine. I have to find it because I even like made notes because I was like, why, what's the obsession here? Like she can't see. I mean, wake up like on a really high pedestal. She can't see
Yeah, I think
who
she
this
loved
person
him.
could be a human being.
She loved him so much that she put himself before her. Like she was catering to his needs before hers. She was championing his goals before hers. So like
Yeah,
everything, you want to do politics, we are there.
yeah, we are
We are
here.
there,
We're
we are supporting,
supporting.
we're everything. It's
Yeah,
not like, okay, fine, you're doing politics while I'm growing my career. So like his life, her life was very dependent on what he's doing. That when he started moving further and further away from her, it's like she doesn't have a personality because
yeah.
you see when your personality is literally I'm a wife. Okay,
Mm.
but besides being a wife, what
What
are
else are
you?
you
So like
offering?
she lost her,
Who she
yeah,
is?
who she is. Like how can you explain who you are if you remove the I'm so and so's wife,
Yeah,
ama
like
nini,
yeah. Who are
Bibi
you?
Wamhesh, who are
Oh.
you? So I think she just lost her identity somewhere there in the middle. And then it became a bit resentful because he was thriving. He was a politician. He was doing all these sexual things that he likes. And then her, she was just there. So now she felt stagnant because her, she was left where they met.
Yeah,
And he was moving. But also for him, he never took a time to like pour into her cup.
yeah.
It was all about him. So it was a
It's
bit
always been
also,
about the
yeah, it's always been, at no point in time did he say, hey, and what about you?
Okay, I found the phrase.
Mm-hmm.
She says, I didn't think my husband was capable of cheating on me, much less impregnating another woman. It's not that he's cowardly or stupid. It's that until that day, he'd never been the kind to get excited by pretty young things. So I feel like she has her own, she's seeing this guy in some type of way. She's like, sanda kuelezaje, like amemweka kwenye on this particular stone that this guy can never he's the guy, he's a good guy, he's the one who's providing, he's the
I don't think
right
good guy. I think in her head,
because he
he
was
was
providing.
he was providing. I think in her head,
Mm.
he was an ambitious guy.
Very ambitious.
And
Actually, she
what
even says that.
and what she did is she put all her dreams on pause and supported his
Yeah.
ambitions.
Mhm.
So without him, she did not have a personality. So like because of this ambition, she didn't expect he'd have time for young things.
Mhm.
But I feel like the higher you go, you have people around you to help, assistance, you can
Yeah.
hire help. So now you have more free time to notice, look at that pretty young thing. And then you have the money, so it's easier to pull them.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they're also in your, especially for him, he was in politics. A well looking,
He's in the public eye.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So there's that. Yeah, I'll say for me, something that really stood out is and it reminded me of a novel that is called Stay With Me. So it's basically about like a man having infertility issues. And I think for me, one of the things that bothered me is he knew that he
You
had this
know,
input.
oh
Like
gosh,
it.
from the get
Yeah,
go.
but he's sitting there watching as in-laws are pestering his wife. They're making fun of her.
That was
There
sad.
she's taking like juices
Pills.
and stuff and pills. Like
Did
she's
she go
just
to the witch doctor? Was there a point?
I'm not I don't know. I'm not
No.
sure. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like there was just a lot of up and down of like things she didn't need to do because you know you're the
Yeah.
problem. Yeah. So by the time he's coming clean to her, he's not thinking to come clean to his in-laws who are always bothering her and they're on her case consistently. So she's just there putting and then it's like, oh, he doesn't want to be embarrassed. What will the society say? But he's not thinking, what do you
What's the
think they are
implication
saying?
to the
Yeah,
wife
on
also?
her. And
Yeah.
like how do you think like how she's feeling? Even though she knows it's you, but
Yeah.
like all these things being said repeatedly at you, it's so bad. But yeah, so at the end of the day, he came with solutions. And what was his solution? He recruited a. First of all, I was like, really, you're gonna recruit like a man
Is
in
it a
your
friend?
close circle? Yeah.
Yeah.
So he recruits a man in his close circle,
Mhm.
and he's like, yeah.
You
So you
yeah,
just sleep with
do
this
this.
guy and give me babies, because at least we know you're not the problem. So the guy was game. How he convinced him, because he had like older kids already.
Yeah.
And then the babe didn't like this guy at all.
The
But
first
yeah,
time, yeah.
yeah. But for her husband, and just to stop this shame, she was like, yeah, fine, she's going to do it. But what gets me is like this guy, because before she was just like, I mean, I don't like him,
She didn't like the arrangement.
yeah. She also didn't like the guy
Yeah.
as a whole. She was just like, ay, Uyo, that's the one you chose. Why not? Because she even said, why not Nani or Nani? And then that's when he came, he literally had an explanation. So like this is something that he thought about for a minute. But like the thing is, towards her, she agreed because she loves her man. She's gonna stick beside him.
No.
And she decided she's gonna sleep with Benja. Yeah, and they did the thing, and a child was made and born. So now I think after a while he's thinking, why have one when you can have two? So what she quotes is, the problem is that she liked it. So being with Benja, when Sammy kisses me, Sammy is the husband. When Sammy kisses her these days, she feels Benja's warm lips on hers. She fears things will change if she spends one more afternoon with him trying for another child. She worries that her love life might turn into a game of musical chairs. So if you think about it, like, would the hubby really act like a victim or blame anybody?
wouldn't.
These two people, because he literally pushed two
You're
people.
the one who created
yeah,
this
who didn't
scenario,
even want
so-
to be together. Now they're like, yeah, I mean,
And it's inevitable, even if you did not like a person from the get-go, just by the fact that you guys are now closer.
not close. I think Benja was just a gentleman in bed.
How
He catered to her
yeah.
needs. Yeah.
And that's where I'm actually headed to, because even if you didn't like him from the first time, he's doing things that are making you feel womanly and what I mean, in the end, like maybe a couple of years later, probably
Yeah,
they
so
would just remove him from the
exactly. Now, can he really blame anybody? Can he? And they can literally take these kids with them, because are they
They are
yours?
theirs.
Are they yours?
But you have nothing here.
So I feel like for this, the whole thing of covering a man's shame, it's like, what's the point?
I mean, marriage.
The people who you're trying to
protect him from.
Yeah, not even protect him from the people who he's trying to cover shame from. Like, do they really care? Because at the end of the day, people will speak regardless. You could have kids and then they say, oh, but why are they like this? Why couldn't they be like this? They'll always have something to say. Yeah, I feel like it's something that men over dwell on. And then the solution isn't the best, because this your friend who you're thinking is boys for life. You could wake up one morning and they're
just
straight.
married.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're and you're like, bring back my children. Which children, sir? Which ones? It's just so weird. Yeah. So that one stood out for me. I'll say like any other themes are just you're like, what's happening in this book?
Sex work. Sex work has been a topic in Nairobi for so long. But do we judge? We listen and we don't judge.
Yeah, plus I think also in this book how sex work was
portrayed.
Yeah, it's not something that anybody goes into by choice.
By choice.
Most times you'll find that they went into it because they had no other way. This was their only way of survival. This was all that they knew how to do. And that's just how.
Also, this is Nairobi. Probably even like they were shifting from county A to county.
Yeah.
And Nairobi has nothing else to offer. Sex work apparently sells a lot. So yeah.
I don't think it sells a lot. I think sometimes
like it's easy to get into. For example, if you're in the streets, it's easy to get into sex work because you find people on the road themselves doing the selling, and someone tells you this is how we do it, and you're like, oh, so you can get a buck or two out of this. Okay, fine.
I think with like being without options, most times themes that are repeated in these books that people will either go into would be crime and sex work.
Yes.
Or sex work. Because in this book, how it was portrayed, she lost her baby. Like her baby,
Alifukuzwa.
yeah. No.
Alifukuzwa nyumbani,
No.
There's a story
She lost her baby
on the streets.
Her baby was in an accident and died.
Which story? Chapter? Which one?
This is chapter 6. So like she's staying with the house help. The house help calls and she's like, there was an accident and
the
she
baby was
lost her
going to
baby.
school
Yeah.
or something.
So just that
Oh,
in itself, just sort of like
you know,
everything that you
turns
thought you
everything
just turns
around.
everything around.
Yeah.
And she just lost it just for a moment because that's not something that you recover
For
from.
sure.
And then there's so many questions that she was asking herself. What could I have done better?
Yeah.
How?
Also,
Why?
that
Why
goes
did this
into the theme
happen?
of grief and loss. And how
Yeah.
people handle
Yeah.
loss in that context.
Yeah. So you just find that how you make your decisions are completely different, and this is one of those things that you really can't advise
Yeah.
somebody on because
You know,
it's those types of pain that you can't relate. Even if you're another parent who's lost a child, the pain isn't the
it's
same.
totally
Also, the
different.
circumstance isn't the same.
Yeah.
Because for her, she one morning she saw her kid, the next morning she's being told because she had like a complete breakdown, which is completely understandable. Yeah. So after that, she was dating some guy in wines and spirits, and they were doing well. She was good because that's something that she knew how to do, like entice men, have them buy the wines and the spirits and
Yeah.
everything. And then this guy, the alcohol, like Abibeka, he got into rehab. Now she has to fend for herself. So like that's how she got
Ended up
into sex work. So
Also,
that's
sex work is not necessarily like a bad job, Jan.
I'll say the ones who are doing it most of the time, this is something that they are doing temporarily or they are doing
Yes.
because they don't have any other option. Nobody in this particular story went into it like this
This
is
is the job I've
what I
been
want.
going to school for.
I've been feeling the calling, and in an most of
Yeah.
them it was because of circumstances, because they have to support
Yeah,
themselves.
and that's why we need to decenter the concept of sex work is a bad thing. It's for unajua ule malaya ule. No, think about it's circumstantial.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
it's
That's
not
the word.
someone I went to school to study.
It's circumstances. And then she also says she got out of that whole savior mentality where somebody is going to come and save
And
her.
save, yeah.
Now she's doing what she can to save herself and then get out of it.
It's always been about yourself. Like, can you remove yourself from a situation? Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So at this point, you don't have any other option but that. Yeah. And then the other thing is also crime. Because when you're falling into crime, it's also circumstance where this is not
Most often.
Yeah, this is not something you woke up because nobody is born like a gangster. Especially like crime. I feel like
differ.
born a gangster because the
Born
first time you're
gangster.
holding like a gun or a weapon or that
They probably
violent
got
act.
out of the womb saying, I'm here. I'm just assuming. I
But
mean,
I feel like most that very first act of violence, it has to, something shook you, that type of
should
thing.
have triggered.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
you were like born into crime, like this is the way of life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
There's no
yeah.
other choice.
Yeah. Or most times you'll find like you start dating somebody who's a con. And then that's because in this particular story,
There was that
yeah.
story.
So like
That was nice.
yeah.
That was a great story.
Was it?
Yeah.
How?
Just I don't know, like the guy just picked her up and this is her journey. I thought that was a very interesting story.
I feel like
And
for
now
her,
they're just living like Bonnie and Clyde.
didn't he die?
That's the whole idea. Like yes, aliuliwa. However, walianza zile za I'm gonna show you how to make good money. Isn't that the story?
No.
Which story was it?
I feel like by the time she started dating him, it was like good. Oh,
she was the one who was working in the hotel, right?
I don't know if she was working in the hotel. I just know like she got into crime at a young age and she didn't have a choice.
We must be confusing. The stories are so enticing.
So,
okay, we can let's verify. Let us verify.
let's verify.
We see. Crime, by the way, is not something you're born with, obviously. If you're born around like a hood that does crime most often, you might be.
Yeah, I'll say
You
for
might
her, no, she wasn't.
She was introduced by the dude.
Yes. Yes, and she didn't do it because they started dating. She happened to find out that he was a con. And then now he was like, okay, now since we're together, I'm not gonna be providing for you. Know how I'm making my money. So you can't be eating my money and you're not participating in the
Also
con.
paying.
Yeah. So now she had to con a friend. Like her very first con, she had to con like a really, that one rich babe.
And then she lost her friend now.
Yeah, but she was prepared for that because you're not gonna con somebody of $500,000 and
Yeah, that
expect
was
for
the
you
babe
to
who was
be.
working in like a restaurant.
Was it?
At the beginning of the story. But however, I get your point. This dude introduced her to crime.
Yeah, so for her she wasn't going into it with Bonnie and Clyde. She didn't like the feeling, but she didn't have a choice. Because for her, like she'd lived that hard life. So she was like, okay, fine. Since I've
So now I know that you're a con artist.
So and he was a con artist, like they'll panga a con, like that a long con for a minute, like this is how we're gonna do it.
Yeah, and she did it so well actually. At one point, like she embraced the role and she's like,
because like this is my job now. I don't have a choice.
You have to do it well and well enough.
I don't think she was doing it with a smile on her face, but this is the only way.
Yeah,
I'm going to survive, and this is the man that I'm with.
I mean,
who's helping me like cater to my needs and everything. So now she had to like, because the guy wasn't giving her an option. After like he sort of recruited her, okay, you can have a soft life.
Yeah.
But
sasa by the way, we are no longer. Oh yeah, I remember akimwambia like we are no longer. She says there's one point she says they stopped having that cordial relationship.
He's like, no, not cordial. They stopped dating.
Dating, yeah.
It's like I'm gonna date somebody.
Now you're working.
Yeah. And she's like, yeah, this is a job. So come, I'm your boss.
What?
Kuja, chapa kazi,
and home.
Yeah. But at the end of it, she does say she wants an honest man. Yeah. Somebody who is earning an honest living. And you don't have to, because she had to switch up, move.
Yeah. Like, you have to change identity.
Yeah, because that coding people, you have, especially if it's a long code, you have to befriend somebody, get to know them. She changed her name so many times, and then suddenly you have to disappear once the con is done, because now somebody has lost so much money. And of course, most people are probably like hunting you down or something like that.
Yeah, you're always on edge. You're thinking, wow, when am I?
Yeah, you don't know when you're going to be caught, so that on the edge and everything. But yeah, she was able to finally get out.
Yeah.
And now she's hoping to find a good man. Yeah. So there's so many things that are spoken about in this book, ladies and gentlemen. I'll say definitely read it. It's true stories. I think this is one of the things that just shows you. Sometimes if you're sitting and thinking, I've been through it in this life, you haven't. You haven't. Or maybe you have. At the end of the day, I feel like everybody
has a story.
Yeah, I feel one thing about this book, I'll say, if majority of these people haven't been to therapy, I feel like this book was very therapeutic for them. Like that session of like telling their stories to her. Yeah, especially if, like, you've never said this to anybody. It's like it's the first time I'm voicing it out. You can just feel that.
Finally, someone can.
Somebody can hear me and just understand
why I'm in this position.
Yeah. But definitely read it before Tufunge. I'll say just one last one. Is this babe who had a sponyo, and then now this ponyo, like they knew it's a sponyo situation. There was this man, monogamy is not for me, and she'd accepted it. They were living well and everything, and then like they had like a bit of a tiff apo katikati, and then like she wasn't at her place, so this guy would often come to her place. So like after coming back to akirudi home sasa, she's hearing sounds coming from her room. She's like, how now I live alone? So like she goes in, she finds this guy with another babe, like in the act. So in that state of anger and hasira and everything, and her intention was to hit the man with a bottle, but the man happened to like beg. So now he just went
direct to the face, the eye. Yeah.
And just like that,
she was bleeding.
Yeah, bleeding, and of course, and now her the target, she missed her target.
Yeah,
which is just basically like at the flip of an instant, like you can just change the course of your life, because now she ended up in jail. Of course, now the babe was rushed to hospital. Like it was such a big
she also
thing.
like the one who was rushed to hospital later, she got well. And now you see this both of these guys are living properly, and then you're in jail for 17 years. And it was just like a flip of what is going on here.
Yeah, the anger at that
Anger
particular
issues.
moment. And the funny thing is, she doesn't regret him at the time that they had
Yeah.
that relationship. They're 2 times away,
Mm.
but just that act,
That moment.
that kahasira. Yeah. So, Confessions of Nairobi Women, Part One by Joanne.
Rating.
Definitely read it. I gave it I gave it a 4.5. I really like the book.
Mm.
For some stories, I feel like I was just left wondering, like, could you give me a bit more? Especially like the first story.
Yeah.
The title in relation to the story, I was like, oh, okay. A little bit more would have helped.
Mm.
But generally, just being able to put somebody's life into words, I feel like she did a great job.
I think Joan Thatia is a very good writer actually, and the fact that she like put all of these stories like coherently, like you can follow, you can. I think she wrote it very well, and she pays a very good attention to detail. So that for me also would make me rate it at around 4 also.
Mhm.
And the fact that it's hard to listen to these stories. You can imagine you're the one who's listening to the stories and you have to internalize and be, and now make the story yourself. I feel like it requires someone who has a lot of strength in the inside because it's
Yeah,
a
it's
lot.
very heavy.
It's a
And
lot.
and like the hope that I'd say, like, especially for if you can see yourself in these stories,
Yes.
like the heavier ones where like a parent took advantage of you, where you're forced to fend for the entire family, where
Mm.
you're in sex
You're
sex
under,
work and you don't want to,
your
such
husband is abusing you
circumstances.
and whatnot.
Yeah, I'd say at least this is also therapy to you because you see it and it's like, okay, it's not just me.
Yeah.
Other people are also going through it, and maybe it opens up the door for
Conversation.
I can talk about it. At least ongea ikutoke. Not immediately, it's a process, but just
But talking
working
about
with
it makes
somebody,
you
yeah,
feel
hard
less
and
burdened.
better, yeah.
Yes. So yeah, nice time. Cheers. Thank you.